Hello, my name is Kathleen Brown, and my lesson plan is on the Dust Bowl, which occurred at the same time as the Great Depression. So this is for a ninth grade U.S. history class. This is estimated to take 50 minutes. My essential questions are: why do economic depressions occur and how do they impact the lives of people? And how can man-made disasters affect people's lives? I've listed my standards and my NCSS teacher standards as well as my ESL standards. I have both my instructional objectives as well as my language objectives. These are my language objectives, which are basically the students will listen to a video and write down answers in a worksheet. They will verbally discuss their answers and listen to the lecture and write in blank portions of a PowerPoint slide handout worksheet. There will also be a jigsaw activity where they're required to read a section of the article and verbally discuss it with their group. And finally, the homework assignment is going to be to write a description, a poem, or a song about a specific photograph from this time period and demonstrate an understanding of the time period. So I've listed my vocabulary words that the students would be expected to know at this point. ESL students would have this as a handout previously. These are my materials I will be using, including my formative assessment handouts. The teacher would definitely have to have an understanding of the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl to begin this lesson. I've talked about my anticipatory set, which is playing Woody Guthrie's Dust Bowl Blues. They will write an interactive notebook. I didn't actually include this in my formative assessment because I wouldn't actually be grading this at this time, but this would be something that would be cumulative over the semester. I'd be looking at their progress in an interactive notebook throughout the semester and the year. So I have a PBS video on the Dust Bowl that I would have them watch. I would just have them watch a short clip. There's actually an incredibly long series on this, but I'd probably just have them start off with a short clip and answer a 3-2-1 worksheet. And then I would have them get into groups of 3 and share their answers. With this particular one, I would have them hand this in at the end of the period for a grade. I would not count for spelling. I would only look at it to make sure they had an understanding of the material and use this to add on any supplemental review or anything like that that's needed. I would then go into PowerPoint slides. These are my list of content. I'll go down to the bottom and show you, this is my 3-2-1 worksheet I would have them fill out, and these were the slides I would hand out to the ESL students with some blank spaces, like a close activity where they would fill in based on the slide material and the lecture. They would fill this in as just an extra little comprehension part to have them work on. That I would not grade. I would just go around and make sure that there was an understanding of it and that they got the correct blanks filled in. I would use images such as the Dust Bowl image to kind of explain to them the geographic implications of the Dust Bowl. I would have them again get into pairs to verbally discuss the points and look again at their 3-2-1 worksheet. So that would reinstall, have them work on their verbal as well as their written. And then I would put them into jigsaw groups based on an article, which is minority groups in the Great Depression, which is broken up into a bunch of different categories. So I would have them each be assigned a group. I would hand out this worksheet, which has different areas, a description of their lives, the effect of the Great Depression on this group. So each person would be responsible for reading that section of the article and then going back to they're going to be working in expert groups as a jigsaw that would help them verbally discuss the article, as well as help them answer those portions for the ESL students. I'd make sure the groups were formed so that there's native speakers as well as ESL language speakers in each group. And then all of the students would come back to their home groups and have to verbally explain their section to the group. So hopefully that would help me gauge the verbal understanding and the reading comprehension of my ESL students. For this particular one, I would go around and observe and listen to my ESL students and then gauge them on their communication. I would not grade this. I would just use this as an indicator of where they might need additional help and potentially talk to the ESL teacher if I feel that their communication is poor. Then I may need to figure out some other options for them in group work like this. So I would be grading the jigsaw. They would have they would have a point for each of the 3 items in each of the columns for a total of 42 points. And I would be gauging, again, the verbal discussion of the ESL students. Okay, after the jigsaw, I would do a summary to close off the class. And then their homework would be a portrait poem activity, which essentially is we'd give them the option of either writing a description about let me find that for you. Okay. The portrait poems activity is going to allow them to either write a description of the person's life, which may be a little simpler for some of the beginner ESL students. They can write a poem based on the person's viewpoint for somebody who wants to be more creative, or a song that reflects that person, what the person is experiencing. So that gives the students a little bit of few options. And then that will be graded based on their responses, which I have up here, the grading rubric for that. So this would be the scoring rubric for the portrait poems. So that pretty much sums up my formative assessments. And I have listed all of them in here except for the jigsaw, which I created on a legal size paper so they'd have more room for writing. So everything else would be contained in my lesson plan. Okay, thank you very much.